Hey guys, it's a beautiful fall day here in New Jersey. All of my neighbors are working in their yards. I'm sure you can hear them blowing leaves, cleaning up the beds, and getting ready for that first frost. Today, even we're doing things getting ready for the first frost. We're bringing houseplants in. We're starting to take down all of our twinkle lights, and we have a couple other fall garden projects that we're working on. While I'm outside, I want to quickly show you how the gardens are doing. Everything looks so different from the last time I showed you. And I want to show you some shrubs for the fall garden that you have to have. So even though it's starting to cool down and the leaves are starting to fall, everything looks so pretty. Look at how the foliage is changing. New Jersey is so beautiful this time of year. Let me show you what's blooming in the garden. So in this garden that I like to call the well garden because there's well equipment in there. You can't see it, but it's definitely in there. I've got my zebra grass, smoke tree. My zinnias have seen better days. They've all got like a powdery mildew, but some of the blooms are still going, so I've kept them in. These were some of the extras that I planted that I didn't have room for in the cutting garden. But really, the blooms in this garden that I'm loving right now are my limelight hydrangeas. They are just beautiful, aren't they? This is one of my favorite fall garden shrubs. I mean, it does start to bloom in the summer, but you just can't beat those fading blooms and the changing foliage. On the other side of this bed, we do have some other, I mean, look at how bad these zinnias look. But you know what? They're still producing blooms. I really kind of like that silvery foliage, even though the plant is dying back. It's got to be completely taken out soon. I'm probably going to take it out in the next week or so. So this one, even though it's fading, is Oklahoma ivory. Very pretty cut blooms. It's like an off-white. Very pretty. In the front walkway garden, we've got a lot of fall color going on. I did add these little field trip pumpkins. Aren't they so cute? Instead of doing a whole bunch of extra plantings, I just tuck some in, and they look so festive, don't they? I've got my dahlias. They're still going. I'll put the name of the variety on the video. And I don't know if you can see this beautiful foliage. It's actually getting some extra blooms, but that is balloon flower. Isn't that foliage so cool? So even though it's not blooming, it still adds a ton of fall color. So then I've also got my sedum autumn joy. That's still going. Although the blooms, I've certainly seen better days, but I just love that color. I've got some mums, some celosia. I'm gonna be digging some of these catmen out. They're a little too big. That yellow flower over there, that straw flower. I'm trying to see what else is blooming that I can show you guys. Oh, this is bachelor button. Blooms more in spring, hasn't bloomed really until now that it's cooling down. It loves cooler temps. I've got lots of mums still going. Planted them at just the right time because I waited. If you don't plant your mums too early and you wait until like October-ish, you'll get a lot longer blooms out of them in fall than you will if you try to plant them in August when it's still hot. They really like cooler weather. And considering mums are bred to only last about 6 to 8 weeks, hold off getting them, even though the retailers put them out, hold off getting them and plant them a little bit later in fall. To my surprise, I got a few more rose blooms, which was kind of nice. This is my knockout rose. Also still blooming right now, but on its way out is my hydrangea paniculata. Love those fading blooms. So gorgeous. I do not cut this shrub back until spring. First day I get out and I clean up the yard and I cut this plant back. So even though my zinnias are all finishing up for the season, Oklahoma salmon still looks totally amazing. Even though the foliage is saying otherwise, the blooms are still going. One of the things I love about my flowering crabapple tree here are my hostas that I have going around the tree. I tucked these in years ago. And this year I added some mums and pansies, and they still look great. I mean, even though they're starting to die back, I love that fall color, don't you? Where I live in New Jersey, deer are a major problem. I spray these all season long and I can have hostas. We do have herds of deer that come through, but they do leave my plants alone. I will link a video as well as a couple blogs in the description below so that in case you want to learn how I keep deer from eating my plants, I've got some great tips. Even our deck has changed significantly. I'm starting to bring all of my houseplants in. I mean, I have a bunch of these philodendrons. They're huge. They're split leaf philodendrons. They're ginormous. And I don't even know where they're gonna go yet. Like, they're so big. I don't know where they're gonna go. So I have a bunch of houseplants that I gotta bring in. I just took down all of my super petunias. It was just time. And you know what? We're just starting to clean everything up. But look at all those leaves falling and that fall color. In like a week, it's gonna be totally amazing. So my backyard garden is really starting to kind of have its last hurrahs. All the annuals are kind of done. Look, my hostas have definitely seen better days and everything's just starting to say it's time. It's closing time here in the garden, but there's still some things blooming and changing and looking good, so let's talk about what they are. As you know, Sedum Autumn Joy is one of my favorites, and look at how much it has changed. I'm gonna actually share a card on the screen from earlier in the season to show you what Sedum Autumn Joy looked like earlier on, but look at how deep that color is changing. And you know, there's lots of different types of sedums out there, but this one's so easy to get, it's so easy to find, and so easy to care for. So I love it, easy to propagate, and it's all over my beds. My planter, my tropical planter, has seen better days. I really want to bring that ginger in. The dahlias are putting on their final show. They're still blooming. I know I've showed you in almost every video, but really they're doing well. And I still have some zinnias going, although there's powdery mildew on like all of them. But I mean, this is it, it's wrapping up. I'm still cutting dahlias to bring inside and make arrangements, which is fun, but it's almost time to dig them up. Right after the first frost is when we'll be digging up the tubers and storing them for winter. I should really get out here and deadhead and do all those things, but you know what? The season's almost done. I'm tired of watering. I'm done with pretty much taking care of things now. The first frost is on the horizon, so I'm just letting the garden do its thing, cutting the blooms that I can to bring inside. And other than that, I'm just gonna let nature take its course. One of the things that I did this year, so I didn't have to plant as much, is I tucked these little field trip pumpkins in the beds, and it just added that little pop of fall without having to dig. Surprisingly, the squirrels haven't bothered them, nor have my dogs. So even though my vegetable garden's not really producing much anymore, it still actually looks pretty good. The parsley's still going, a couple of my herbs are also going. Tomatoes are done, I gotta really pull those. Definitely some work to do out here, but I really love these beds. And if you are thinking about doing raised beds and you wanna buy something pre-made, check out the link in the description below because these are awesome. It's hard to believe just a few weeks ago the beds still looked pretty good, but they are really wrapping it up. I mean, look at my hostas. They're all starting to show signs that they're dying back. The leaves are just kind of done, and season's really just coming to an end. It's so sad, right? So one of my favorite fall shrubs is this oak leaf hydrangea. It does bloom in the summer and the blooms are very pretty, but I don't actually grow it for the blooms. I grow it for the foliage. I mean, can you tell why? It starts with that beautiful green, and then it gets this like outline of red, and then it slowly changes to red, and it finally turns into this like crimson. It's just a beautiful process and a great fall shrub. Another shrub that I love for the fall garden is Calicarpa, otherwise known as beautyberry. I mean, isn't it beautiful? It gets this gorgeous, graceful arching habit. It's a little bit on the smaller side. It grows to be about 4 by 6. It gets little insignificant white flowers in summer, and then really the show are these beautiful purple berries. The birds love them. But then as fall progresses, the foliage changes, and it's just gorgeous. Another shrub for the fall garden that I love is the limelight hydrangea. Of course, you get these gorgeous blooms, but the foliage, as the season progresses, is just gorgeous. I mean, look at that color. And then another shrub that I love is smoke tree. That beautiful purple foliage turns like an orangey crimson in the fall before the leaves fall, but I grow this for the foliage throughout the season. It does get these smoky flowers in early spring, but I don't grow it for that. I love that color. Looks amazing in the garden throughout the season and just looks so good with all my different flowering plants. One of my favorite shrubs for fall is this viburnum. I love these berries that it gets, and the foliage will change color as it falls. It's just beautiful. And that's it, you guys. I'm Stacy from Breaks and Blooms. I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy a beautiful day.